Hey guys, Waddler-D, we're back for a new Let's Play, Super Bomberman 2 for the Super ES, and I've been kind of looking forward to this game for a number of reasons. A, it's a pretty good Bomberman sequel. In fact, it's definitely better than Super Bomberman to some degree. B, it's a game that I actually played but not beaten, and you know what that means. Just makes me all the more anxious to get through it all and conquer yet another game. And C, well, it's a Bomberman game. I definitely enjoy playing these guys, especially with one that has a more developed single player, and definitely one that has one of the better multiplayer games, or battle games, as some people refer to. And to be fair, the graphics in this game look really nice. I mean, for a Super NES game, and compared to the first one, this definitely has quite the looks to it. Now, the things that kind of suck about Super Bomberman 2 is that this does not have a two-player co-op for the normal game, which honestly kind of sucks a little bit, but to be honest, I couldn't exactly see it working at all, so I can totally understand the developers not doing that at all. So let's dive right into Super Bomberman 2 and also kind of share the plot a little bit. Bomberman has these 5 Dastardly Bombers, and they end up kidnapping him and taking them to their flying base in space. And Bomberman is apparently trying to plan an escape, and of course he has to start off in Magnet Bomber's domain, which I would like to call it Polarity Plaza, or the castle stage if you want to go with something simpler. And this first level should not really challenge you whatsoever, it just gets you acquainted with how this game works. And not to mention, introduce you to probably one of the lamest enemies, Puff Puff, and of course these magnets that if you happen to place a bomb about 3 to 4 spaces away, I'm leaning more towards a 3, they will get drawn towards the magnet if it happens to be facing that direction. However, you can always change it around by blowing up with a bomb right next to it, and usually that should help you out if you're ever trying to get through a level as fast as possible. But right now, I suggest you take your good-ass time here, because Bomberman with 1 bomb, with 1 firepower, is fucking pathetic. You do not want to have Bomberman be toting around these weak-ass bombs throughout the rest of the game, because you will literally drive yourself insane, having to trap enemies that are much worse than Puff Puffs with bombs of this weak-ass stature. So please do not... just don't skip on collecting items. Now, if you played the first, or Super Bomberman, you would notice that when you kill all the enemies, the exit appears. Here, that's not the case. In fact, you have to do a little bit more than that, and you might be able to guess what you need to do. If anything, that corner, that top right corner, has a switch that obviously needs to be done or dealt with. Otherwise, you are not leaving this place. And if you're thinking, do I have to hit all the switches to exit? No, there's a catch. 1-2. That catch, by the way, I'll explain a little bit later, but we get introduced to some new gimmicks, like Dynamite. Dynamite is pretty much your best friend and your worst enemy. Best friend because it does a good job clearing out enemies that are huddled around it. Bad news is that you can easily kill yourself with it if you're very irresponsible, just like in real life. So do not be a dumbass around Dynamite, is all I gotta say. Now, what I would suggest you should know about Dynamite is that it doesn't explode in lines per se like bombs. It actually kind of explodes in a grid-like sense, where if you're pretty much within some walking distance of the Dynamite, you are screwed. As you saw, it kind of cleared out that whole level. So, just to give you an idea how much range Dynamite might have, yeah, if you're directly diagonal to it, yeah, you're gonna get blown up. And now we have Mr. Mao, I like to call him. Or that's what a lot of people call him. That guy is the first enemy that will take 2 hits. Also, if you're wondering why the fucking door is flashing, there is a defense mechanism on this door. If you decide to attack it with pure aggression, you will basically make enemies spawn out of thin air. Luckily, they're flashing, so that means you can walk through them. Also, if you're wondering what these red and yellow-black panels are, these are actually boosters, or what I would like to call them are power pads. These things will fucking boost the hell out of your bombs and make them very powerful. In fact, maximum power. Be careful around that. 1-3 is where I get introduced to one of my least favorite enemies in this area. That guy that's floating back and forth. Magne-hells are actually what they're called, and I will definitely stick with that, because these enemies are assholes. Granted, that guy, not much of an asshole, because he's already dead. However, there's one thing you should know about Magne-hells, and let me just show you. See how Bomberman is getting drawn towards it? This is actually a pretty nasty trick, at least for beginners, because if you happen to be in a corridor with no exits and you happen to set a bomb while it's dragging you towards it, goodbye life, because you will not be getting out of that mess alive, at least, unless you happen to have a heart. So that's one reason why I hate Magne-hells, and yes, that's probably one reason why it took me more than one video take to get this video all set up for you. Magne-hells suck. Do not give them any quarter. Just wait for them to draw you towards them, then set the bomb, then run away from the bomb and the enemy, so that way you can pretty much get them and possibly get out scot-free, and Mr. Mao, why is your intelligence so dim? Alright, so that takes care of 1-3, definitely a lot more complicated than the first two stages. 1-4 is actually a drop in difficulty. We get Bakuda's 2, is what they call them, I think. However, this is one thing I like about Super Bomberman 2. There's technically strategy to this game, where if you happen to know exactly how to beat a level, it becomes cake. That only took me 12 seconds, while all the other levels have taken me at least a minute. Wow. So, there will be stages that are short and simple like that, as long as you know the way around it. And honestly, if you figure out that way, make good use of it. And here's a nice little trap section with the Magne-hells, like in that very corridor right there. Be very careful. Now, Bakuda's 2, or Bakuda's the 2nd, usually like to explode with firepower 4, but since these guys aren't very threatening, you should not have any problems taking care of them before they cause you internal pain and whatnot. Seriously, they're pretty simple enemies. Now, this Magne-hell might be a little bit tricky, because I'm going to have to get in his face, and that requires me getting in tight corridors with him, and trust me, you do not want to be in that situation. So try to dance around with this guy. Fortunately, Magne-hells aren't as dumb as Puff-Puffs or Mr. Meows, because they will at least make random movements. They're not predictable. But you can trap them, and it is very satisfying, because it's just watching this guy just struggle and spit and move around like, what the fuck do I do? Just die. Alright, but once you get rid of all the enemies, you should not have any problems. By the way, the other condition with these doors, you have to kill all the enemies. You might have noticed that with the 3rd stage, but that's pretty much what you have to do. It's not hitting all the switches. It's pretty much clearing the stage of all enemy forces and hitting all the switches. Fuck you, guy. And there's a nice little example of possibly falling into the beginner trap. Yes, it is beginner trap. And you can just totally wipe out that corridor. Do yourself a favor, because there's nothing really up there. I know there is a treasure chest back there, or a soft block, that might have something in it, but chances are it won't, and you probably won't care. Because it could just very well be like a firepower bomb, where you have like 8 of them. Nope, you are not escaping, buddy. So this should not be a very tough stage. It's definitely more complicated than 1-4, but as long as you pretty much practice what you've been practicing and be careful of the mine or the magnets, you should get through this in one piece. But again, make a practice to try to hit all the freaking chests before you go to the next stage, because the next stage is going to be a little different. I love that music. Triumph. 1-7. Oh shit, it's you! So, Magnet Bomber. This guy, like all the other bombers, has a nice little trick with his particular bombs, actually. These ones magnetized towards you, so if you happen to be leveled with them or lined up with them, they will draw towards you, which can be good news and bad news. Good news is that you can use this to potentially get Magnet Bomber in some bad situations, and I suggest you definitely do that, because if you do not take advantage of this, this fight will be a lot harder, and you will end up getting killed a lot faster. So try to take advantage of that technique, because honestly, trapping enemy bombers like that is not really easy, and sometimes he will just fuck himself over like so. So just try to tangle with him a little bit. Make sure you kind of confuse him a little bit, because this guy really just needs to be pressured. And once you get through that one piece, preferably with the heart in tow. If you didn't grab it, it's not a huge problem, because the big boss is coming up. And you have no choice but to take it. And yes, this guy is, I think, the Iron Gilgi, or Gaigi, whatever. I'm not going to pronounce it right. I'm just going to call him the Polarizing Pugilist. And this guy isn't a hard fight at all. Honestly, the only thing you have to worry about are the fists and just walking up and touching the boss, because that's a terrible idea. But the only thing you should really be concerned about is the number of hits it takes to kill this boss. Compared to the bomber, it takes about 11 hits. Yeah, good luck with that. I hope you have the endurance to deal with the slow back and forth mechanisms. This guy should not really give you much of a challenge. Honestly, once you figure out the pattern, it's a matter of just not being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Unfortunately, I did not follow my own advice, so I got smacked well upside the face for it. Now, to make this fight easier, since you will have to do it again if you die on the big boss, try not to blow up all the soft blocks or the treasure chests early on, because this bomber does not seem to like when he has less escape routes, and sometimes you will trap him in some humorous ways, honestly, or he'll just blow fuck himself up. So just kind of make him, just trying to see if he can make mistakes, because there's less escape routes, more mistakes happen for him. Nice thing about killing a boss, or at least an enemy bomber, and you're still trying to collect stuff, you can't really kill yourself because there's no threat. It would be kind of cheesy for the game to say, oh, you fucked up, even though you killed the boss. Too bad for you. Alright, so strategies for this boss. One thing I would suggest you do is just this strategy. Just set bombs in front of him while he's stopped, and basically pelt him with as much as you can, because he gives you plenty of time to, like, do damage to him. Another strategy is that you could set bombs to the side of him, but it's not exactly recommended for two reasons. One, it kind of puts you in range of him running your ass over, which is not a good thing. And also, if he happens to run over your bombs, he will pretty much crush them and make them null and void. So definitely try to stick to setting bombs in front of him. Another strategy that you could do is set bombs in a way where you'll probably pass by that point or stop in front of that point, and you can be able to set up a lot more damaging attacks here. Like, for instance, that's going to hit him, that next bomb's going to hit him. See, that's probably the best way to take care of this guy, is to try to plan your bombs and making sure that you get him in the right places. But don't get too close to the boss, otherwise you might be taking some unnecessary damage or dying, which you definitely don't want to do. And one thing I like about bosses in this game is that they will definitely showcase when they're near death. Like, this guy is pretty much on death's door. Gray, smoking, now exploding. Fuck yes. Bomberman, you really need a better dance. That's not cool. Okay, so Bomberman, while he celebrates the death of his foe, and I do mean death, I kind of feel a little bad for Magnet Bomber. He really didn't deserve to just, like... Well, luckily Bomberman has the best way to do a Viking's funeral in space. Fuck you. Blows up the place. But now we got a new place to go to, and this one is Golem Bomber's Flaming Furnace. Next time, guys, we will explore how hot this damn place is, and how annoying some of the enemies are. So thanks for watching, have a great day, and adios.